Okay then, so taking a look now at these two swings here, both from face on and down the lines. A couple of things we look at in terms of the setup. Down the line, we can see that hunch posture over the golf ball now. That's going to make it very difficult now for your body to rotate and function as it should do in the backswing. So it's because of that, you're forced now to use more kind of your wrists in the takeaways. We can sort of see this first movement here now. It's more kind of a wristy motion, and that's going to cause that club's going to get a little bit out of sync with the body. And as we were discussing, obviously, with the grip, you can see here now as we sort of set up, you're trying to get your grip in a decent spot there. So the grip gets to about here, not too bad. The club now, if we look here on the ground, it's a little bit blurry. You can sort of see that club face twisting and moving all the time. So as we said in the session, a lot of things that you're doing, both at the setup and the swing, are causing the ball to go to the left. Then when you swing the golf club, you've got to try so hard to try and, as we say, stand the club face up, sort of make the club shaft get quite vertical to try and hit back to target. And that amount of movement you've got to try and do just not going to be consistent. So if we look here now before that club goes back, the club now, we can see aiming left. Now just watch your left hand here. If I zoom in, this is the first move there. So you can sort of see that twist there in your arm. This is now causing the club to twist in your hands before the club even moves back. So you've got a club face now that is twisting in the backswing to a closed position from an already closed position, and the hips, as we said, sliding off to the right. So from here now, all that weight has gone the outside of that right foot. You've shifted back a long way here. So when you come back into the golf ball now, all your weight's behind the ball, which again is encouraging that club to swing to the left and swing on the way up. So you see in this case here now, so far back behind the golf ball, as you come to impact, you just can't reach it. You're just hanging back. Swipe over the top of it, okay? Then we sort of readjust ourselves again. Club goes down again. See, when you're putting your hands on the club, you're focusing on the grip, but the club face now is really aiming off to the right, left there. So got to really dial down that setup, get that set up in a much more square position with the club face, and then get your grip on the club. When you swing the golf club now, we're not going to be moving the hands around. You can sort of see this. Even before that club goes back, your fingers are open. And then as you grip the club, in the process of gripping it now, as you're gripping it, that club is going back. So there's not really much consistency now with the grip and that club face. And again, as we can see in this case, the slide off the golf ball. So the movement we're trying to make now is working on this right hip. Once you've got that club face square and your hands on the club correctly, we want your right hip to rotate around you in the backswing, and then your hip to slide left in the downswing. As we said, you tend to swing the golf club back and slide. You see how much your hips moved across and where that yellow line was on the edge of your hip, how far you've moved across here now. And then when you get back to the golf ball, you actually come to hit the golf ball and your hip is still this side of that yellow line. Whereas if we look where we want to try and be in an ideal world, if your setup had been on this red line, we want your right hip to be somewhere here when you come to the golf ball. So your hips have moved, as we said, this way to hit the golf ball. So first things first, start off with those smaller swings. Just get the club moving to here with that twist, and then moving through impact, getting a bit more onto your left side. Even then, when you finish the swing now, you finish further back than what you started. So all these things there we're going to be doing is going to send the ball way to the left. You can look at this right hand one here now again with that slide. As we get to the top of the batch and that club face now really, really closed. Club coming down very, very steep in this process now. All off the back foot. You've got to have the handle so steep. You can see your left arm now and the wrist sort of bowing to try to, almost like a cricket style shot to try and hit the golf ball towards target. And one of three things happen. Either you don't do it enough and you hit some lovely strikes and the ball ends up in those trees over here. You top it on the ground or miss it, or you overdo it and the ball then shoots out to the right there again with all that weight on the back foot. So build up that swing from small and slow movements. Hip is going to rotate on the way back, your right hip, and then you're going to slide your hip on the way through. And I would just try and get that movement done as many times as you possibly can during the day just to get that feel. Your instinct is for your right hip to slide as you move back. So I think the analogy we use in this session is if you're just playing pass the passer with the kids, just turn and hand that object to someone to your right. When you did that every single time, your hips rotated without any thought at all. When you put a club in the way and you made a swing at a golf ball, the hips wanted to slide. So when you were swinging back, this left hip, looking at the camera here, always wanted to go that way. And if you keep sliding with the hips on the way back, makes it very, very difficult to get back to that golf ball with any kind of consistency and quality of strike there. So hope that makes sense. Any questions, obviously give me a shout, and we will see you next lesson, buddy. Cheers, mate.